Leon Edwards defeated Colby Covington by unanimous decision. The fight wasn't the most exciting fight ever, but considering how emotional Edwards was during the pre-fight PC, Rocky was pretty dominant. He says he wants to enter GSP territory. That's 9 title defenses for all you noobs. What's your expectation for Edwards now after seeing he just bagged his second title defense? And may I add, 2 tough welterweights are in his rearview mirror now. Can he get there one day? Yay or nay? Mike, you got the first take.
Man, it is going to be tough, I think. Just 9 title defenses in this day and age is really tricky. And when you look at the welterweight division, that's, of course, one of the deeper weight classes in the sport. We got guys on the rise who are looking really good. I mean, I'm sure talk about the likes of Shavkat Rakhmonov, and then, there's some other notable players in this weight class as well on the rise and established. So if Leon gets there, that would be incredibly impressive. That would put him at like a over 20 fight UFC unbeaten streak, which would be a record in itself as well. So just fathoming that is a little bit difficult just because we've never seen anyone do it, putting together a run like that. But Leon's looking really good right now. I mean, he is in his prime form. I think he's 30, 31. So for him, like if he is going to put together a run like that, now would be the time to do so. And it makes me happy to at least hear him say that. I know coming in, he was talking about wanting to move up to middleweight if he won this fight, challenge the winner of Duplessis and Strickland. He didn't really say any of that in the aftermath of this fight, which was a little bit refreshing. So it seems he is focused on 170 and trying to beat that record. So commendable on his end there. As far as the performance, we'll talk a little bit more about that, especially on Colby's end. But I thought he did what he had to do, given all the stuff that was going on leading into this fight. He kept his head on very straight when it came to the bout itself. So impressive there. If he continues to kind of evolve and stay within himself, I think he's capable of putting together a few more here. But this division is real tough. And of course, Shavkat Rakhmonov and Belal Muhammad are 2 very difficult title defenses. Whatever order they may come in, I expect those to be his next 2 opponents. And right now it feels tough to see him getting through both of those, depending on who it is.
Yeah, just getting to the halfway point, I think we'll be able to take a deep breath and then figure out if he can get there or not. 9 is so far away from 2. Danny, what are your thoughts, man? Leon looked pretty good considering the opponent wasn't offering much.
Hell no. I mean, he did look good, but hell no, he's not going to reach GSP levels. And a lot of that is out of his control. I'm not saying that he's not good enough, but if you look at GSP's record, he only needed 2 wins in the UFC to get his first title fight. And then after he lost to Matt Hughes, he only needed 4 more victories to. Whereas Leon Edwards has been fighting for quite some time, and he is champion now, but it took him 10 fights, a 10-fight unbeaten streak with 1 no contest in there, 9 victories to get his shot at the title. So we're just in different times. Back then, it was a lot easier to win the belt and then go on these long streaks of title defenses because it was easy to get to the title. Nowadays, you got to work your ass off and pretty much almost clean out an entire division to get at the top. So I think if you would have put because a lot of those fights may look like title defenses, if you would have given him a shot to Leon Edwards earlier on, maybe because I do think he's very skilled. But at this point in time, given that he is 33, given that Shavkat's around, given that Bilal's around, and other top contenders are coming up as well, like Sean Brady and Ian Machado Gary, I see it very, very tough for not only him but anybody to get close to 9 title defenses.
Mm-hmm. All right, Goes, your thoughts?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like what Danny said at the very end, that's my take. It really doesn't matter who it is. It's not anything against Leon Edwards. It's pretty much anyone. Anybody in that position is going to have a very difficult time of trying to get to that many title divisions. That's just how stacked this division is. I think Leon took a huge step forward. I think he showed us a lot in that fight, and in the sense of keeping his emotions intact, the sticking to the game plan with Colby. I thought he was very, very impressive. I have nothing against Leon Edwards. It's just basically anybody in that spot. I mean, look, you got Balal Muhammad waiting. That's a tough matchup there. And then you have all these up-and-comers that we still aren't 100% sure where they're at, but we know that they're really, really tough. Take any of them, put them in that spot. They're just not going to accumulate that many wins. It's just too much of a stacked division. That being said, I think Leon Edwards can have the belt for a long time. I just think in between somewhere there, he could lose one, regain the belt again, but it can't be consecutive. It's just too much to ask for. That's in a lot of divisions in the UFC, guys.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, excellent start. And I got a follow up for you guys. I'm gonna try and pin you guys down to a number of title defenses, and we'll equate that with some former greats. But let me talk to the chat real quick. You guys have a lot of energy. You guys are coming strong. Can you guys put a number of how many title defenses you guys think Leon Edwards would have? And I'll read some off. What the trade-off is, I need you guys to hit that like button. That helps us trigger this thing and build this thing and algorithms, all that stuff. So help us out there. Hit the subscribe because I'll stand by the content on MMA Junkie's YouTube page. It is awesome. All right. Do that for me. And like I say, I'll circle back. So, guys, here's my follow-up to you guys. If he's not going to match GSP, it doesn't seem like you guys think he will. Who is he more likely to match? A, Matt Hughes, he had 7. B, Kamaru Usman, he had 5. C, Tyron Woodley, he had 4. Or D, none of the above. Mike, we go back to you.
I guess none of the above based on what I said before. Maybe you could say Woodley, which would be 2 more, but that means Belal and Shavkat probably, or maybe someone else in there. And I just said I feel like he has a pretty hard time getting through both those. So I guess none of the above. You could convince me maybe Woodley, but who knows, right? Crazy things happen. Someone gets injured, someone else goes in there, and we have some unforeseen circumstances. But if we look at it, the contenders who should be fighting, all that kind of stuff, it's going to be either 2, what it is now, or maybe he can stretch it to 3 or possibly 4. But if he gets past 4, then I actually like his chances of maybe getting to 5, 6, 7. But it seems like these next 2 in particular are going to be the most challenging ones for him.
You're right, Mike, because once you get to that number, you might start lapping some guys and having rematches, right? And if we're going to say that he had a great fight against Colby Covington, the matchup was tailor-made for him. And as let's say Covington does come back, then now he's fighting a guy he already beat. That's what GSP did. He did a few of those, and he also had a few rematches along the way. So that might be an apex, and then he starts to go downhill a little.
Yeah, and what he said, I think, after the fight too, like he doesn't seem overly concerned about any one of these guys in particular. But one thing he is accurate on is they do present a lot of these contenders like similar stylistic challenges, right? Like guys who have boxing and then are going to try to take him down. He's been able to handle that very well, of course, with this last fight and Kamaru Usman. You assume Balal Muhammad would do something similar. Sean Brady would do something similar. Shavkat is the one that, of course, seems like the most dynamic guy. He can stand with Leon and more than hold his own. He could take him down as well. So that's the one that you kind of circle, being like, this guy would probably be the most dynamic challenger. And then if you look at the other guys, maybe like Ian Gary, if he's able to get there with the right wins and continue to build on his skill set. But the rest of them, for the most part, are just kind of wrestle boxers, as he described them, and he seems to have figured out how to defeat that style pretty well. So maybe we're underestimating Leon a bit here.
All right, Danny, how about you, man? You saw the choices A, B, C, D, or you want me to go through them again? Or if you know them, go ahead, man.
I'm going to go none of the above. I can see him defending the title one more time. It looks like Belal Muhammad is next, and I hope that he gets the title shot because Belal Muhammad absolutely deserves the opportunity. I think that's a very close fight. I think Belal can win it. I think Belal has a very good chance at dethroning the champion. But if I had to pick someone, I'm going with the champ. Then you add Shavkat Rakhmonov to the mix. And at that point, Leon Edwards is probably going to be getting closer to 34 years old. Shavkat is prime. Shavkat looks like an absolute killer. If those 2 fight, I think I slightly favor Shavkat. Along the way, he's going to have to take an L, I think, either by Belal or by Shavkat. I just see, and not just specifically to Leon Edwards, I just have a hard time seeing anybody going back-to-back fights against Belal Muhammad and Shavkat Rakhmonov and winning them. It's just a tough thing to do.
Yeah, and to be clear, Matt Hughes did it by winning 5 and then 2 when he reclaimed. So there's a possibility he could do it over time. He's only 32 years old. Look, in 1 year, he might have 5 if he defends 3 times in 2023. Sometimes fighters do that type of run. Who knows? Goes, what do you think?
He's 32, my bad, correction, because I had said earlier he was 33.
Yeah, I think he's got to keep him relatively close. He's got to be very, very active because Father Time is going to catch up. And at this high level, it's going to be really difficult. I guess I do have to say none of the above. However, if he does kind of get through the next 2, I think he has the potential of maybe getting to 4 or 5.
Man, I hope Leon. Go ahead, Mike.
George, to go off that note, I know it's not on our rundown, but like who do we think is going to be next? Is it going to be Belal or Shavkat? And what did we think of Leon's comments about Belal at the press conference, basically saying that he hasn't done enough and he's not interested in doing that rematch next, which I think was kind of perplexing. I mean, at least to me, if he wants to say after that pretty dull fight with Colby that maybe fighting Belal isn't the best fight for the interest of the entertainment of the fans, I could get on board a little more with that argument. But if you're trying to dismiss the merit and being like, hey, I did a 10-fight unbeaten streak before I got my title shot, what makes him more privileged? Well, he's at a 10-fight unbeaten streak. He's at literally the exact position you were when you got your title shot. So not trying to, crap on Leon here or anything, but that logic there made zero sense to me. I don't know how you guys felt.
Yeah, 100%. And something that I wish would have been asked was like, they ask him about Belal. He's like, nah, he doesn't deserve it. They ask him about Shavkat. He looks all right. Then if it's not those two, because I can see him going, okay, no, it's Shavkat. And I think if Shavkat were to get a title shot, we would all be bummed for Belal. And I think, it'd be a criminal thing.
It'd be an injustice.
At this point in time, also deserves a title opportunity, right? Like you can have multiple people deserving of a shot. We wouldn't feel cheated of a rightful contender if Shavkat were to fight for the belt. But if it's not either of those two guys, then who are we looking at, right? Like Belal has
Ian Gary's been booked, so it can't even be him, and he's another undefeated
pretty much
fighter.
every welterweight is booked right now after that 299 card, so I'm not really sure what he's targeting there.
Yeah, I wish we would have got some sort of an answer. It's got to be Balal Muhammad. I mean, he's already got the streak to back it up. They have a little bit of that history with the first fight, the way it went down or whatever. Then he was promised a shot when he stepped in on late notice and beat Gilbert Burns. He steps in as the alternate. I mean, how many boxes do you have to tick for Rocky to not get excited for it? It kind of hurts himself because it's at some point in time, you just got to turn the corner and start selling pay-per-views. So if you didn't have something when they asked you about Belal, but so-and-so pissed me off or whatever, then what are you doing here? You know what I mean? I thought he misplayed his hand there. Goes, you want to chime in?
Yeah, I mean, Shavkat can make sense, but it doesn't make more sense than Belal. Belal Muhammad is just very clear. Like you said, George, every box is ticked. We got to do it. And Belal Muhammad, like starting Saturday night, he needs to start talking and not shut up. He cannot take his foot off.
I think he'll have a problem with that.
Yeah, he's got to keep it up, dude, because fans are fickle, man, and you just never know. But this is his spot. It would be a complete injustice not to give him the shot.
We'll get into antics and stuff, guys, but would it have been cheesy for him to at least approach the cage? You know the security were going to come and hold him back. But, I mean, even Belal from his side, he could have done something, I guess, just to like get this thing going, you know what I mean? Spark it a little bit.
I think he did his best, like, doing an interview with Megan O'Leary backstage. He went up on the desk. I think it would have maybe soured a lot of people. I know a lot of people are sour on Belal as it is, but that was such an emotional win for Leon. His interview in the cage with Rogan, he opened up a lot. I think it would have, I don't know, taken a little bit away from the moment if you bring Belal in there to do a face-off and all that stuff. I don't know, it just didn't feel like the right thing, but he did his stuff, firing off all the tweets, doing the post show, all that. I think he did the best he could in the moment. And given how this week went, I'm not surprised the UFC did not want to let anyone in the cage for a face off on this particular night.
That's true. Benny in the chat says Leon needs to start saying things to make him interesting. Maybe call out his next opponent. Is pretty much echoing what we're saying here. We're very in agreement here. Gordon Riley in the chat says, not the most destructive Leon. However, he worked to his strengths and got the W for his fellow Englishmen and women. Very proud of this guy. Nice. All right. Chad Cuba says, if Colby saying what he did about his dad didn't make him go for the kill, nothing will. Leon is too boring. Chad Cuba repeats it. Leon is boring. No personality either. He's going in on the guy. You guys, is that fair? What was he? A little dry, or what do you guys think?
Yeah, he's not the most charismatic guy, and he also doesn't have the most exciting style, although I would say that there's a ton more fighters that do not have or have a more boring style than he does. I don't think Leon Edwards' style is particularly boring, but I don't think it's overly exciting either. It's very measured, very tactical. So I can definitely see why fans don't like him, especially in this day and age where people like Colby Covington get a lot of attention, like Sean Strickland. If you put him next to those guys, he looks pretty plain to me. But I like Leon. I like the way he fights. To be honest, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't find this UFC 296 main event that boring. Like I again, wasn't Aldana Rosa, but I don't know. I was tuning in all the time. I wasn't dozing off at any point.
Yeah, I was compelled, at least, like, just, I mean, more so who we'll talk about next, like the Colby style. Like, I was like, is this guy ever going to do anything? It was riveting from like that side. Of course, it wasn't the most thrilling thing. There wasn't any knockdowns or any significant like moments of drama in that regard. But this is Leon Edwards, man. I mean, I think the knockout of Kamaru Usman kind of sent people off the scent of Leon Edwards a little bit in his style, but this is who he's been, man. I think 9 of his 14 UFC wins are by decision. He is not a miraculous finisher or dangerous finisher constantly out there. I mean, he landed that insane knockout, but that is more of an outlier as far as like his fights as opposed to what we see consistently from him. So this is how it is, man. But it isn't a far cry from the welterweight champions we've had in the past, right? Like GSP got his criticism, Tyron Woodley got his criticism, Kamaru Usman got his criticism. It just seems like to maybe be the top dog in this weight class, you need to, in some moments, have a bit of a risk-averse style.
Yeah. Skyrider in the chat says, people who say Leon is boring are casuals. Corey D's, glad I didn't fall for that one. Calling Leon boring in that fight is hilarious. When Colby was backstepping, circling the whole time. And I got some answers, guys. Skinny Boy says 3 title defenses, and then it ends for Leon Edwards. Joe Dirt says 3 or 4, which would equal Tyron Woodley. And to give some respect, Frank Shamrock and Pat Miletich as well, for you old schoolers out there. Scott Storm says 3. So, yeah, everybody kind of went with D. Nobody even sees him getting to what Kamaru Usman got to. Funny being he's a guy that beat Kamaru Usman twice. Chad Cuba says Shavkat beats Leon. Shavkat finishes Leon. Yeah, Shavkat's getting a lot of love.